2020 has been a really hard year for all of us, though for some more so than others. From the pandemic to the civil unrest to police murdering Black people to the concerning amount of trans people being killed to the severe wildfires, it's a lot to deal with. This year has been indescribably difficult, especially for those who belong to marginalized communities. However, I found a lot of comfort in superhero stories. They introduced me to these worlds where the villains represent the worst of humanity and the world, the evil, hate, betrayal. The heroes that stop them stand as pillars for hope, love, and order. And in a world that seems hopeless, hateful, and chaotic, there's a sense of escapism, a way to look up at these heroes and think, maybe everything will be okay. I grew up on superhero cartoons. Batman the Animated Series, Justice League, Wolverine and the X-Men, Spectacular Spider-Man, and Young Justice were some of my favorite cartoons growing up. I loved them, watching the characters in beautifully animated fight scenes, these heroes I looked up to facing the scariest of villains. I was always on the edge of my seat, eyes glued to the screen. I didn't have cable, but every Saturday morning my dad would put them on for me while I ate breakfast. They were my Saturday morning cartoons. I watched these characters for years, and now, at my age, I get to experience them in a whole new way through comics. I have a distinct memory of being maybe 7 years old and sneaking to the back section of my local library. It was hidden from the rest of the place, past the DVDs and the video games. You really had to search to get there. But there it was, the comic section. It was my little enclave, where I'd spent hours looking through everything they had there, flipping through the comics, eyes wide as I read them. It was like magic. I remember grabbing a hardcover of Batgirl Year One, which was my very first superhero comic. At the time, the only female superheroes I knew about were Wonder Woman and Batgirl. I felt like I'd found some hidden gem, this comic about Batgirl that no one else knew about but me. I triumphantly picked it up, ran over to my dad, and declared proudly that I wanted to check it out. I remember taking it home, gripping it to my chest in the car ride, probably a goofy grin across my kid face. As soon as I got home, I ran up to my room, throwing the door shut behind me and jumping on the bed. I flipped through the pages frantically, reading the whole trade in that afternoon, and afterwards, I ran around the house, pretended to be her, Batgirl. It was the first taste of comic magic that I'd gotten, but certainly not the last. Throughout my early childhood, I stayed in love with comics. That love never left me, but I read them more as isolated things, and for a while, I stopped reading them altogether. I didn't stop liking them, but they disappeared from my world, and I lived my life without them. I hung out with my friends, watched TV. They just weren't a factor in my life any longer. Then, when I was 10 years old, I moved to a different state, and it became harder for me to stay in contact with my friends until eventually I lost contact with them entirely. I was in a completely different place, and despite moving it only a few states down, the culture was entirely different. The way people talked, the air, taste, the way the weather was, the way a lot of things just were, was different. Soon after, my grandmother passed away due to cancer. It was a really hard time for me. And when I felt most alone, comics were there for me. I read Brian Azzarello's Wonder Woman run, and while I do have mixed feelings on it now, it introduced me to this vibrant, action-packed world. A world I could get lost in. A world I escaped into when I needed to. Through that, I found a whole expansive universe full of comics waiting for me. Excitement around every corner. Exploring it was a treat that I'll never forget. something I'm still doing to this day. There's always more comics out there to read, always new things to discover, new stories to enjoy. Comics were there for me when I needed them, and they've never left my side since. Every time I've needed them, comics and superheroes have been there for me. A familiar face, an always helpful friend. I can idolize and look up to Wonder Woman, laugh and cry alongside Spider-Man, empathize with Batman. And this year, I've needed them more than ever. With the pandemic killing hundreds of thousands in America, it's been terrifying for a lot of people. And it's only highlighted how broken some of the systems are in this country. It's easy to give up, to doom scroll through Instagram, to feel like we're screwed and there's nothing we can do. But then I turn and I look at my heroes, and I remember to have hope. That hope is a powerful thing, and that change starts with you. That yeah, maybe a lot of things are wrong, and obviously, I can't fix everything on my own, but I can do what I can to be a part of making things better. I can always put my best foot forward, and even if that's not everything, it's definitely not nothing. Wow, so I actually finished making this video. Editing it was an experience, to be sure. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know down below what you thought. Fellow comic nerds, let me know how you got into comics. And since this is the first video I've made, any editing critiques and suggestions would be greatly appreciated. If you liked the video, and I'd really appreciate it if you press the like button, and if you want to see more content from me, maybe subscribe. I'll be trying to be uploading once a month, and my future videos will be more like video essay videos, where I discuss, critique, and give my takes on specific comic runs, characters, and maybe some cartoons too. If you want to hear more from me, check out my Twitter. I'll be tweeting there from now on. Oh, and stream Wonder Woman 1984. It's out on HBO Max today. I will most definitely be tweeting about that. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day. Bye.